Let me welcome INT'L Briggs once again and to ask why whether a very good assessment was made before putting trust in the ability of the president to intervene fairly. Because if you look at the history of the president himself, the kind of politics he has played in Lagos State, you will see that what has happened between Fubara and Wike, it's a postscript of that strategy, which some people said the strategy has failed in Rivers State. Now, it also reminds me of what happened during the pro-democracy movement when people were beckoning on General Sani Abacha to come and intervene after the annulment in the hope that after removing the interim president, Shonekon, he would hand over to Abiola. But as it turned out, he had his own ambition to be head of state. So I didn't really think that, because again, if you also look at the incident in Ondo State, what the president also did in terms of the kind of intervention that went on there, it doesn't really look like a candidate to trust to intervene fairly in the situation in Rivers State. Then the second question would be, I think that the public demonstration adds a new dimension, a new dynamics to the current situation. How far will the people go in protecting the common interests rather than allowing politicians to continue to call deals that favor them alone?
So, INT'L Briggs, I don't know if you got that.
Yes, I did.
Okay,
Now,
go ahead. Yes.
The first answer to calling in the president and whether we had assessed him, I think even just looking at the fact that Nigerians have supposedly have voted for him and he's now the president shows as that question in one part. So it's not just us asking him to intervene. To a very large extent, by accepting or by the majority, if you like, of the fact that the majority of Nigerians voted for the president. Nigerians also have to answer that question because it is flowing from that he is now president of this country. And it's also from that we as elders and believe that it is important for us to be seen and showing that we just didn't take this thing lightly on our own, getting up in Rivers State and discounting the fact that there is a constitution, discounting the fact that there is law and order, and even maybe even if we don't accept, some of us may not accept certain processes, but you have to be seen to be going through the proper process of doing something. So calling on the president is not such a bad thing in our opinion, because he's also an elder in some ways, because the president and I actually are born the same year. So if you look at it from that angle, I don't think we did anything out of the ordinary by asking him to intervene. I think what has happened is quite rightly, as Prof has shown, that if you look back, then you can actually see that perhaps he's not by his antecedents. And I cited what went on between him and Obasanjo and the local government creation issue. I think we just needed, in our opinion, to cross the T's and dot the I's. Let nobody and say, well, have asked the president to intervene, you disregarded the president. Now, in asking him to intervene, we didn't ask him to break the law. We didn't ask him to set the constitution aside. We didn't ask him to put his own interests ahead of Nigerians and ahead of Rivers State, because the president is said to have made this statement that why? Because if the president is saying, let them come back, the question is, come back as what? They've crossed from PDP to your party. So are you telling them to go back to PDP? No. You're telling them to remain in APC. So now you've accepted them, according to the president, as your children. So what have you done to the people of Rivers State? The president has left his authority and has left his rights as a president and imposed his authority on Rivers State. And we are saying that no.
Oh, I think she's gone away. Maybe we'll try to. Okay, she's back now. She's back. She's back. Let's try to reconnect with her. Yes, welcome back, Anki Briggs. Hello.
Hello?
Yes, I think we lost you for a minute there. We lost you for a minute there. Yes, go ahead.
Okay, yes.
Yes.
I was saying that the president has left his responsibilities and imposed his personal interest on the people of Rivers State. That's not what we asked him to come and do. We asked him to intervene between Fubara and Wike, who are in PDP party, mind you. They are both in PDP. And so it begs also the question that what game does the president even think that the former governor of Rivers State is playing? And the president also should have asked himself, look at the background of Rivers State and ask himself that if these people voted for him as he's being projected, if these people voted for him, then he should have paid more attention, critical attention to the crisis, the political crisis that is brewing between two PDP members in a critical state like Rivers State, and as the president on an APC party, to be careful with his intervention. He should have known that Rivers State is not the type of state that will accept what he has imposed on the governor of Rivers State. The governor of Rivers State, in our opinion, has no constitutional right to accept an imposition of such magnitude and bring it back to the people of Rivers State. Let me very quickly add something here, that in paragraph 12 of the Christmas message that the governor gave to the people of Rivers State, he says that he is committed to implementing both the spirit and letters of the declaration in such a way and manner that will restore political stability, which in my opinion it has not. And he says without compromising the collective interest of our people, which includes him, the governor, and our cherished and shared democratic values. Well, he has compromised our collective interest. He has compromised our cherished and shared democratic values by, one, signing that document, and by, two, committing himself to implementing it without listening to what the people of Rivers State are saying. He says no price is too big to pay. Well, if he's speaking for himself, that's fine. But if he's speaking for Rivers State, then this price that he has brought back is too much for the people of Rivers State to pay, because we're asking, at what price is this, at what cost is this price being paid?
Right.
Rivers State is for sale, as I said earlier.
Yeah. I don't know if you got the second question. I think it talked about, showing your grievances through maybe demonstration as well, that I would send a clear message, because to some people it looks like all is now well in Rivers after the deal and after the speech on Christmas Day.
Well, first of all, there was such an outing last week in Rivers State. There was a massive outing in Rivers State of civil servants and youths and different bodies. And also we have to bear in mind that this very governor was pelted with water cannon. He was pelted with tear gas by the section of the in Rivers State, and therefore in call for demonstrations at any time in any part of Nigeria. I think people have to be very, very careful. how they go about that. But yes, there was such a demonstration or show of support from Rivers people for the governor of Rivers State.
Okay, so let's now look at Governor Fubara himself. Before this rift, what would be your assessment of his, governance in the state? Because some people have said, Governor Wike, say all you want about him, the way he talks to the media, the way he has this, band and everything, that he performed while he was in office. In fact, some people christened him as Mr. Project at some point, and that what he's trying to do is to ensure that Fubara does not derail from that path of quote-unquote performance, if you like. So before this whole drama, what was your assessment of Fubara as a governor? Because you are in Rivers, you can feel what is happening there.
Well, number one, Fubara started openly. I think not the word demonstration, but the fact that Fubara is having problems with the former governor came to the notice of everybody in Nigeria when the Rivers State Assembly members, 27 of them, got up and threatened to impeach the governor of Rivers State. Now, I say threatened because up till today, and I'm glad we have Prof with us, it's a legal aspect of it. Up till today, we're yet to see the documents to show that they had started the process or they had finished the process, or that these are the issues 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 that is against Governor Fubara, Sim Fubara, that the people have not seen. That's one. Now, 5 months, he was sworn in at the end of May. And by the end of October, so that's June, July, August, September, by the end of the 5th month, it became clear that the assembly wanted to impeach him. Now, the question we are asking is, what did he do? Because Sim Fubara had already started by saying that he is working, if you like, with the governor. That is to say that there is continuity of whatever the governor has put in place. By what we heard, I think coming from that the problem started for what two things the governor did not approve of. Now, the former governor rather did not approve of. Now, if that is the case, we begin to ask the question, who is the governor of Rivers State? Is it Sim Fubara or is it the former governor of Rivers State? The former governor of Rivers State is a Rivers son. He governed this state. Nobody is taking away from him what he has done right, but nobody is going to also accept what he has done wrong in the view of the electorate. Projects of road building and things like that is not the only dividends of democracy. It's not the only dividends of politics. It's not all about building roads. Rivers State is a small state. We have communities that are not accessible except by boat. Now, we expect, after so many years of democracy and even military rule in a state like Rivers State that produces such amount of wealth for the country, that at least some of these riverine areas should be accessible. Because it is not accessible, some of our people in the riverine area buy commodities like fuel and diesel and kerosene at double the price of what anybody else buys it at any other place. We pay more for something that is situated in our backyard.
Right.
And that cannot be right. These are the things we expect our governors to fight for and over, not who is the godfather and who is the godson.
And I think I want to quickly take you up on what you said about a development not reaching some areas, and some say that's like the problem generally with the South and the Niger Delta. There's a huge amount of money that comes out of there, and also there's a huge amount of money that goes in there as well. I remember Nyesom Wike was the one who admitted openly that former President Buhari had paid 13% derivation. That was what he was using to build flyovers and everything. And some say with all of the money, the 13% derivation, all the funds that goes into the communities there, things are not as developed as they used to, as they ought to be, rather. So is it the governor, or is it that the people are not holding the governors accountable enough? Because even if you look at the chart of the federal allocation from every month, you have states in the South topping the chart. The last 2 months or thereabout, Rivers and Akwa Ibom were the top recipients of the FAC allocation. So, I mean, what do you think it is down to? Is it the governors there, or the people are not holding the leaders accountable enough?
It's a bit of both. It's half of the half. The people are not holding the people that we have invested our powers in to account. And when you start to do that, then you become what someone said to me last night, public enemy number one. And so things begin to happen against a person or people that are speaking up against the wastage, as I call it, and lack of accountability and responsibility. That does not in any way disregard the fact that I, for one, think that the derivation that is coming to us is not enough. It's not anywhere near enough. That's one, because we're talking about resource ownership and resource control. But that's a story for another day, discussion for another day. But the fact that over the years, we have to accept that we have had people in government, people representing us at National Assembly, House of Rep, the local government, the governors, all of them, that have gotten away with mismanaging the little that is coming to us. I accept that. And when people like me then say so, it becomes as if all we're doing is, you see, if we talk and nobody else joins us, then, I mean, it's just talk. But you see, if people, ordinary people, will get up and accept what we are saying, that I see no reason why, for instance, when you come to education, already we have free primary education coming from the UN, the United Nations Global Primary Education System. That so I should not be paid for through the system of this derivation that is coming to us. And why governors should hide the so-called security payments that they make, and even the presidency should not hide the security payments that is carried on. So there is a lot of loopholes where this wastage goes. It starts from Abuja,
right,
comes all the way down to the local government. I do accept that, and that's why people like me exist, because we have to continue to resist these things and point them out.
Okay, let me go to Barrister now, our second panelist. Barrister?
Yes, okay. Thank you very much. Now, please permit me, Ankyo Briggs, I want to take you, back to the earlier discussion on the crisis, in River State. Now, there is a ruling of the Federal High Court extending the ex parte restriction on INEC on the conduct of fresh elections for the seats of those members of the legislature who decamped to APC. And the reason given by the court was it was using its discretion. Do you think that discretion was exercised judicially and judiciously, or deliberate to allow a political solution? That's number one of the question. I have another one. The second question. There are fears in some circles, reading the body language of Mr. President, and particularly the president's derogation from constitutional provisions in the crisis in Ondo and Rivers, that the president is working towards a monopod or a one-party structure in Nigeria? Do you share that fear?
Thank you very much, sir. Definitely. Gladly, I think when it comes to the moral implications of the expectation that the judiciary fail to fulfill when it comes to political issues, I think that question, that the answer is already known, because I'm coming at it from the point of view of not a lawyer, of course, but the point of view of rights and justice. Now, the PDP party has the right in River State to insist that those seats, and even at national level, are declared vacant based on 1, 2, 3, 4, the legal points. Now, having done that, having accepted that responsibility, going to court is the next thing to do, because you can't arbitrarily on your own make that decision. And that's why, like you quite rightly pointed out, it went to court. Now, having gone to court, the reason of discretion is at whose benefit? Do judges get to apply discretion only in political issues, or do they get to apply discretion even in murder cases, in fraud cases, so things like that? So the discretion then to allow for solution. What solution? If the court cannot make a decision based on the facts that is presented to it, then why do we have courts in the first place? That's what, as a lay person, that's the question I would ask the law. Now, the judiciary. Going back to whether the president is pursuing an idea of getting to the point where APC is the majority party, is the only party in Nigeria. Of course, it points to that. And that therefore should not then surprise anybody else when we rise up and oppose what is leading us into that direction. To say that no, the people must have the right to choose whether it is a broom or an umbrella or a bucket or whatever. Let the people choose. Let it not be imposed. Look, you can have a civilian government and actually have a government as bad as a military government, if not worse. And I think that since Obasanjo came, that's what Nigerians have experienced. I want to take you back to what happened to OD people in Bayelsa. Obasanjo used his rights as a president and commander-in-chief to decree and declare that the army should invade a community in Nigeria, a community in Bayelsa, and kill and destroy everybody and every physical thing in their way, to prove to the people that they can find whoever killed those 7 innocent policemen in OD community. And so when we find ourselves in this position, in a so-called democracy and civilian government, I think all reasonable people, all well-meaning people of all political coloration should be able to say this is unacceptable. We cannot have a situation where the judiciary, that is supposed to be an independent arm of one of the 3 arms of government, will now be catering to the other 2 arms of government that is not independent. And so the judiciary exposes itself to the criticism and non-acceptance of the people. And that's so unfair, both to the people and to some extent the judiciary, to some of them who are not doing things the way that we all know that they do for politicians. But I think the judiciary owe it to themselves to their own moral obligation to democracy and to justice to be able to say no, because there is so much accusation of some people in the judiciary of sinking so low as to collecting money and giving a judgment that is not discretionary as far as I'm concerned. Neither does it show any sense of reasonable thinking or justice.
Mm. And Barrister asked you a question earlier. I don't know if I got a satisfactory response, so I would frame it in another way about what is it about Rivers State? Because Rivers is always a flashpoint, even in elections, pre-election matters as well. Before this Wike Fubara thing, there's always been an issue in Rivers. There was Celestino Mayor at some point who we saw dramatically Governor Nyesom Wike himself removing his picture from the governor's office after it was derecognized by the House of Assembly as a former governor. And then we saw the Rotimi Amechi and Nyesom Wike saga as well. So what is it about Rivers actually that makes it, a flashpoint every time?
There are two things that come to my mind, and I think I have leaned towards one of those two things. And I've said to you at the beginning, in the middle, and I'll say it again. Then I'll probably infuse the other angle that I think you are driving at, which is to say that Rivers people are a people that have a mind of their own politically and just politically and reasonably. We have different ethnic nationalities. I've told you that. And these different ethnic nationalities are all Rivers people. And we will not continue to accept a situation where we're beginning to see a merge leaning towards as if one person or group of people are coming up to infuse into Rivers State that only some people have the ability or right to govern in Nigeria, or to have, to govern in Rivers State, or to have a say politically in Rivers State. And people like me are trying very hard. And anybody that has known me for years will know that there are times when I will talk about my ethnicity, and I'm proud of it. And I can recall someone like Tabafemi Awolowo saying that he is first a Yoruba man before he's in Nigeria. I didn't hear him say it as a little girl, but I've read it.
Yes.
And I believe that every Nigerian who has an ethnicity, then there is no Nigerian that does not come from an ethnicity. So every Nigerian should be proud and be able to stand up for that where they come from before we can all collectively stand up for Nigeria. And so it applies in Rivers State, more so in the Niger Delta. In Delta State, you have the Shekiris, you have Urobos, you have Ijo people, you have so many other ethnic nationalities. And it's the same in Rivers State. And that's why the Niger Delta as a whole is a flashpoint, because we are burdened with this, with the responsibility of providing the wealth for Nigeria. Other people have natural resources. Why are we not seeing those natural resources on the table? But we are burdened, saddled with the responsibility of providing the resources for Nigeria. And yet we have seen over the decades, singled out some people from other places, rather than the Niger Delta, becoming extremely wealthy from the resources in the Niger Delta, as well as the people that give to the to the.
I want you to hold that thought. I want you to hold that thought, please. Hold that thought, please. We'll need to go on a break. When we get back, we'll continue the conversation. Just hold that thought. We'll be back in a moment. Thank you.
Stay tuned to 32 FM 94.9. Kí ló ń sún ọpọ́n ìrẹsì jọ̀lọ́ọ̀fù lọ sípele ìgbádùn tó ga? Ṣé tí wọ́n bá sè é pẹ̀lú kóró náà fún adùn tó kà màmá yẹn ni? Tàbí tẹ́ bá jẹ́ pẹ̀lú ojúlówó sàláàdì Nàìjíríà, èso kábéèjì, kárọ̀tì, lẹ́tùsì, àtẹ̀wà oníkíndìnrín díẹ̀.
Ó ní láti jẹ́ méjèèjì. Ṣé jollof rice rẹ pẹ̀lú adùn kóró náà kí o wá jẹ́ pẹ̀lú ọ̀pọ̀ ẹ̀fọ́. Ó yá, jẹ́ kí ọ̀pọ̀ oúnjẹ rẹ gbé pẹ́ẹ́lí. Lónìí, jẹun tó dáa.
Mọ́mì wa, ṣèbẹ̀ mọ̀ wípé mílìkì ń bẹ nínú Milo. Milo Active Go tí àwọn ọmọdé fẹ́ràn gan ń fún wọn ní ìdá 15 káṣíọ̀mù tí wọ́n nílò lójoojúmọ́. Káṣíọ̀mù ń jẹ́ kí egun àwọn ọmọ le, ó sì ń ṣe wọ́n láàyè àǹfààní mìíràn. Milo, okun láti tẹ̀síwájú.
Milo! Getting a good deal is like finding money in your pocket when you need it the most. Sweet. You know that feeling, right? A good deal you don't want to miss this Ember period is 32FM's digital sales promo. Our love for you and your business has led us to create this chance for you to advertise on any of our social media platforms for 5,000 Naira only. To grab this offer, reach out to us via these numbers 0703 476 7684 or 0810 067 2518. This offer is valid from November 1st to 31st December 2023. So, let's make this moolah.
Maggie, 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 Maggie. On the 12th day of Christmas, my Maggie gave to me 12 spicy suya, 11 rishi rishi, 10 wraps of my mind, 9 for the road, 8 pizza from Bobby, 7 pepper soups, 6 sizzling snails, 5 fried fish, 4 cocoa bangos, 3 party jollof, 2 giz dodo,
Reason to season with Maggie. Cook the difference.
Feel better about your life.
32 FM 94.9, the antidote to depression.
When the people became silent,
the government became oppressive. It's time to lend your voice to politics.
On 32 FM 94.9.
Right, welcome back. 32 FM 94.9. The Podium is a program. Anchor Briggs, our guest this morning. Yes, welcome back. You were making a point before that break. I'll let you finish your line of thought.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yes.
Now, for this particular instance, it is not about the ethnic coloration of River State. It is about the ownership and governorship, if you like, of River State. There are people that we voted for, and there are people we will continue to vote for, and putting our hopes and aspirations in them to go and deliver and bring back for us. So the ownership of River State is vested in the people of River State. The governance of River State is vested into a certain number of people by the ownership, the people of River State, to conduct on our behalf. And when they fail to conduct governance on our behalf, we will conduct the rights of our ownership. And that's what we're doing. We are laying claim to ownership. We're laying claim to ownership of River State because a governor is a governor of a state. It doesn't give him ownership of that state. He doesn't own that state. The people, I and my people, own River State. The people of Lagos State own Lagos State. The people they put in government house of Lagos State are the people that are governing Lagos State. And if they are not governing it well, it is our responsibility as owners to tell them so. It's the responsibility of a father to at least try his best to raise his children, and a mother for that matter, to raise their children in a way and manner that is going to make them better people in society. And if we put you in authority to govern our state and you come out and you do it wrongly, We have every right. And that's why there is, to tell you so, and that's why there is a clause, a section in the Constitution that gives the electorate a right to recall or a right to remove. And so we don't have to wait till election to remove, to call for the impeachment of a governor to remove it, or to call for the recall of a lawmaker to remove him, either at state level or at national level. So these are the people's rights. It's not the rights of the people that we have put there. It's our rights. Right. And we will exercise those rights. And I think that is what we are doing. We're trying to do, if not what we're doing. At least we're trying to show that we are the owners of Rivers State, and the governor and the legislators, whoever they are at Abuja and state level, have to listen to us, because they cannot be there if we didn't put them there, unless they are saying that they put themselves there.
All right. Okay, let me take some comments. By the way, we're live on YouTube, 32FM 949 Ibadan. We're also live on Facebook as well, 32FM 949 Ibadan. This one on YouTube says, it's from Henry Odom. He writes, please ask Miss Briggs what she and her people were doing when Wike was unilaterally sponsoring and pushing for the candidacy of the new governor. He was not a bad person to the just then. We all know the hypocrisy involved in all of this. The issue at stake practically has nothing to do with governance, but a dispute between two individuals, and both parties have accepted a resolution led by the president. So what is the problem again? Please, Mr. Toba, come down to Port Harcourt to get the impulse of the people directly. We are not bothered by these people who claim that they are defenders of the law. That's a comment on Facebook. I mean, they're asking you, where were you when Wike was sponsoring and influencing on behalf of Fubara, and because of a minor disagreement that has been settled, you should not take advantage of it to become to say you are defenders of the law. That's somebody, Henry Odom on YouTube. I assume it's in Rivers. He says I should come down to Port Harcourt and feel the actual pulse of the people. So he's trying to tell us that, this is not what the people think about the deal between the president and the governor. Let me take another one before you respond to that. On Facebook, Okedro Rabatini says, it's unfortunate that the kind of River State politics being played, assembly members are supposed to be loyal to the Constitution, are loyal to an individual. This is unacceptable. Where the Constitution is working, the people are supposed to start the recall process of these assembly members and reposition the state. It's highly unfortunate the politics we're playing will backfire because you don't respect the rule of law. He says there's multi-days River State crisis, which pen was used to sign the so-called agreement. Any of this pen has meaning in governance. We should allow Fubara to rule and deliver. What you can't take, don't do to others. You can also call us 0705 5000 949 089 7000 949 as well. Those are the numbers. So, Uncle Biggs, I'll let you respond to that comment on YouTube.
Yes, absolutely. First of all, I want to say that, on YouTube and any of these places, there are fake accounts and stuff like that. But if it is the Henry Odom that I know, then this question is a question that is leaning towards political interest, because if you see the question, it answers itself. So that's one part of that answer. The second part of that is that I had said earlier on that the position we have taken is not 100% position. He can take the opposite position of what INT'L Briggs has taken. But what he cannot take is my right to express this position. Now, I definitely was aware, I saw that Wike had brought out Tim Fubara. And, I told you earlier on in this conversation that the issue that I thought that is pushing at me is to address the issue of ethnicity in River State. Now, his question he should have finished asking the question. He didn't. He held himself back. So I will finish the answer for him. Now, there is a dichotomy in River State. It is called the Upland Riverine dichotomy. This Upland Riverine dichotomy in 1999 gave the governance of River State to the Upland in the person of Sir Dr. Peter Odili. And he governed for 8 years. The same dichotomy, the same River State accepted a dichotomy of upland, where Celestine Omea was the governor for about 8 months or something. And then Amechi won his case that he instituted, which Wike was a key mover of that process that brought Amechi into power. And the court confirmed Amechi did not vote for himself, and neither did anybody vote for him because he was not on the ticket. And yet, it's the same judiciary we're talking about today that gave the governance to Amechi and said that once a political party wins an election, that it is the political party that has won the election. So a man who didn't stand for election actually became the governor of a state for 8 years. He is upland. And then Wike himself came up. And Wike's emergence in River State as governor is attributed 100% to Dr. Goodluck Jonathan, whose wife is a Rivers woman and who is of the Ijaw ethnic nationality in Okrika. And they brought Wike. So they are not Ikore people, they are Ijaw people. He is an Ijaw from Bayelsa, the president, and she is an Ijaw from Rivers State, the first lady. They made sure that Wike came. Now, the fact that the riverine people ended up accepting that is something that we have had to live with for the past 8 years. Now, so if you calculate Wike's 8 years, Amechi's 8 years, and Governor Odili's 8 years, for Upland, they've governed for 24 years. And so Wike knew, Wike knows, he knew, and he knows today that if he didn't bring a riverine man to the table last year in 2023, that he would not, it will not sail through. They can say that otherwise now, that there would have been resistance. Now, other riverine people ran for governorship. They lost. The other person that won is Sim Fobara. So what his question is asking is confirming the fact that Nyesom Wike brought Sim Fobara as an Ijaw man for his own purpose. And so if he's asking me as an Ijaw person and a River State indigene why we didn't resist it, is he saying from here on that if we don't like if we do not approve, that we should do what? I mean, he should come back and tell us so that next time when the next election comes along, we will try and follow the path that he's trying to lead us into. To say that we're Ijaw people. That's what he's asking. Right. Where were Ijaw people when Wike brought an Ijaw man? Well, Wike brought an Ijaw man because he knew he couldn't bring another Ikwere man because he is Ikwere, Amechi is Ikwere. He cannot bring another Ikwere man because there were Ikwere people also vying for that position. He alone, Wike alone, bought 14 tickets, governorship ticket. He owned up to it with Rivers State money and gave to the people that eventually had to drop on the PDP for Sim Fobara to emerge as the candidate for the PDP. So when people come and want to ask these questions as if we don't know what is going on in Rivers State, we know what is going on in Rivers State. But sometimes, for the love of your state and the love of the people that will continue to be the owners of Rivers State, there are certain things that you accept politically. But also, there are certain things that you will refuse to accept politically. You bring an Ijaw man, you make him governor according to you, and then 5 months later, you want to remove that Ijaw man and bring who? Who do you want to?
Okay, Prof, I mean, listening to Ankyo Briggs now, it just made me think again about the reality of our politics. As much as we want to talk about competence, from everything she explained, competence and being able to deliver, there's also the question of ethnicity, even at the subnational level, even at the state level as well. We see it happen. Here in your state, they talk about, oh, this person is from Ogbomosho, he's from Ibadan. Ogbomosho people have not been. In fact, there were some people who said that the former governor Kala had that sentiment vote of being an Ogbomosho controversial person and wanted to take over. So what does it tell you about our reality now? We can talk about ethnicity all we want, we can blame the politicians all we want, but the reality is that for everybody to feel satisfied, there has to be some sort of rotation, even at the subnational level. Prof.
Yeah, I think it's important for us to take inclusion as very vital. Let us not look at everything in terms of ethnicity. We should look at it in terms of inclusion. You can't have the governor perpetually coming from Ibadan, for instance, forever, as it currently is in Oyo State. And people are bound to feel excluded from access to power. And it's not just only that, it's also about how people have access to even public services. We expect, for instance, governors that come to appoint people to recognize the fact that Oyo State is not just made up of people who are indigenous of Oyo State. There are also people who have been in Oyo State for upward of 50 years. For instance, Angel was talking about a Yoruba man in Rivers State who has gone to court as a PDP member to challenge some of the things that are going on. For me, these are very positive developments. Inclusion is very vital. Nobody wants to live in a community, make his own modest contribution to it, and be excluded from the decision-making that will affect his life. And that is not just about ethnicity. We also talk about gender, that we also want women to be effectively represented. But even beyond that, when we are talking about government paying attention to poverty, we're also saying that the benefit from government should not be for politicians alone. That those who are ordinary people who cannot represent themselves, who have no voices, their voices should also be taken into account. And that's why we have civil society organizations, we have people like us in the media raising these issues day in, day out. So a society that is not inclusive will perpetually be an unstable society. People who feel excluded will be angry, they will be dissatisfied, and if they are also denied of their rights, whether directly or indirectly, they will also protest. So for me, there's no conflict between inclusion and competence. So we can't just say, okay, so there are no competent people from Okeogo, there are no competent people from the riverine area, all the competent people are resident in Upland. That cannot be true. So we have competencies distributed across various parts of the state, across the country. And that's why it's important for us to try as much as possible to include and accommodate every member of our community so that they all feel a sense of commitment, of belongingness, to the community. And that's why it is provided by the Constitution. Those who look at affirmative action or the federal character principle, who look at it only from the point of discrimination, also miss the point. Because sometimes some people are so disadvantaged, whether historically or politically, or either by population and all of that. And that's why sometimes majority rule is not sufficient. That's why fundamental human rights are entrenched in the Constitution, so that the majority cannot take the minority for a right. These principles of inclusion, affirmative action, they are all designed to ensure that we have a balanced representation, a sense of commitment across the diverse communities and peoples that make up the community. So it's important. In any case, that's also why we talk about the relationship between citizenship at the state level and indigenship. We don't want a situation where people, there's this constant dichotomy between residents and indigenous and settlers or residents, as we like to call them. So it's important for us to address these issues around inclusiveness, as we see in advanced countries address some of those things. Right. We are happy, for instance, when somebody from the Southwest or somebody from the Southeast or even from the North is made a mayor in Canada, or he becomes a vice chancellor of a college in Cambridge. But to get an indigene to become a vice chancellor at the University of Ibadan is a tall order. So when you come to the university, you have diverse students, because again, when you're looking at the performance of universities in terms of global competitiveness, diversity of the system is very important, of both students and faculty. So all of this idea of inclusion also aids competition. It promotes merit, it promotes competence. So we must look at it in this very diverse and complex situation, rather than just looking at it as if, once you bring inclusion into the matter, you are saying merit should be discarded. That's not it.
Right. Okay. Before we let Ankel Briggs go, I know she's also an environmentalist. The Ogoni cleanup the former President Muhammadu Buhari talked about, and in fact, money was allocated. Can you give us an update regarding that from an environmentalist point of view? A lot of money has been pumped into that as well, that project.
Well, I don't know. I don't know how the expression "a lot of money has been pumped into that" lands on the table of any other person. But being someone who is a victim of the devastation of the environment in where I have lived and grown up in the past 6 decades, I think that there is nothing, not that I think, I know that there is nothing anybody can do within Nigeria that will address the devastation of the environment, that the destruction of the environment and the negative effect of it on our health, on our livelihood. They can never be able to correct it. I say this because this so-called cleanup that is stemming from the report of UNEP, which was carried out nearly 2 decades ago now, that environmental assessment was carried out in Ogoni. Now, using Ogoni as an entry point, it is not that Ogoni is the only place in the Niger Delta that is devastated. Ogoni is one of the places that is devastated. So when we concentrate only on Ogoni, we're missing the point. That's one. Two, when this assessment was made, more than 10, almost 20 years ago now, the assessment at that time was pegged at 10 billion or something thereabout of dollars. Now, we have passed at least 1 decade, going to 2. The money that the report said is needed to clean up just the Ogoni devastation has far exceeded what it will be today. So even just going with that figure and then saying a lot of money has been pumped in, it's very far from the truth. Now, the next thing is that to clean up that environment and bring it back to where it was, which is impossible, is going to take a minimum of 30 to 50 years, according to that report. And since then, a lot more, the devastation has doubled, if not tripled or quadrupled. So if you're looking at the environment today, it's unacceptable to say that cleanup is going on in Ogoni. And if cleanup is going on in Ogoni, what about the other parts of Niger Delta? When will that cleanup start? Or are we supposed to wait until another 30 years or 50 before we now clean up another part of the Niger Delta? So you see, again, this is an area where people do not understand what we are going through. And people do not appreciate the stand we take when we talk about the environment. My personal take on the environment and what to do for our environment: let there be a moratorium on the exploration of gas and oil. They should leave it in the ground. Let all of us suffer. The only reason why exploring and us is because they want the money. But look, it's only my people and I that are dying. That people are dying of all kinds of diseases, all kinds of...
Okay, Uncle Biggs, I talked about the money earlier because there's this report in the Punch, 7th of August this year, the hydrocarbon pollution remediation project. They said that $360 million had been released for the cleanup of the polluted Ogoni land in the Niger Delta. $350 million. That, in the context of the Nigerian economy, is a lot of money. So that was what I meant by, when I asked the question earlier about money being pumped into the project. $360 million from that report. Yes.
See, I'm not quarreling with the way you put it, far from it. Now, this $350 million, where is it coming from? Is it coming from ginger? Is it coming from cocoa? Is it coming from pepper? Is it coming from tomato? It's coming from the oil. So when anybody, not you, I mean, you're going by the reports that you have heard.
Yes.
So I'm even asking, we ask in the Niger Delta, how can they prove this to us? You know, you don't, I mean, the government just slaps the side of his head and says to us, oh, we've released $350 million. Who did you release it to? Show us. Why can't we publish what we're releasing and to who is collecting it? And what are they doing with it? Why can't we have before and after? What is wrong with before and after? I'm trying to read, just by the side, I'm trying to redo some set of chairs that my grandfather had in the 30s. I'm trying to refurbish them, but I'm trying to keep taking pictures of what they look like now and what they will look like when they finish. That's before and after to prove my point. So now, if you say we've released 350 million, to who? To which cleaning environmental company?
Right.
Were they from? Have they done this before? Are they from River State? Are they from Edo State? Where are they from? Who are they? What's the company? What experience do they have in cleaning up environment? Is it the company that cleaned up the Mexico spill that, what's his name, Obama held
ExxonMobil,
hostage, if you like, them responsibility, held them hostage to pay for these things? Is it that company that we're bringing in? Who are we bringing in? One company that is registered in CAC and the address is in some community? No, now, those are not the people that will clean up the environment. So when you say you're cleaning up environment and you can't show us people like Coots and Boots, and you can't show us reputable environmental companies that have undertaken this type of disaster in other countries, you are not showing me anything. I'm not interested in $50 million. I'm interested in the environment. Who is cleaning up my environment?
Thank you so much, Ankyo Briggs. It's been a wonderful session with you, highly informative as well. Thank you so much for joining us on the show. Ankyo Briggs is an environmental activist and human rights activist as well. She's been taking us through the dynamics of real politics as well as the activism in the Niger Delta. Thank you so much for being a part of the show. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for having me.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so I think Barrister left us a while ago. Let's hope that he reconnects with us. So for the last 10 minutes of the show thereabout, Prof, I thought that we should also do our own assessment of 2023, especially on the podium, how it has been and our expectations, for the year 2024. I mean, from the various conversations we've had on the program and the various guests as well that we've had. It's been a very interesting one as well. And then we hope for a better and a more engaging one in 2024. But before that, I think I have a clip I'd like to play, a highlight of 2023. It contains, some of the high points of the campaign, the, supposed gaffe as well of the various presidential candidates in the build-up to that election. So, Prof, after this, we'll do our own assessment of the year on the show.
We lend ourselves to innovation and we can create wonders. Yeah, it's a successful, again, a town hall, different from Bulaba of the other parties. Your Excellency.
Go and ask anybody what my business is. And that's what I even study. If you go and read what I studied in Harvard is market-to-market management. I'm marketing.
Ìkan ṣáájú gbẹ̀gbọ́n. Àpèmọ́ra ẹni dẹ̀ni. Lágbé tèmi dire. Mo ti ń ṣèyí bọ̀. Ọjọ́ ti pẹ́. Ẹgbẹ́ kìíní wá. Èmi ló kàn. Èmi ló kàn. Ìgbà tó ń yọ ẹgbà ti Àtíkù. Nú ẹgbẹ́ tó bá Ṣọjọ́ fẹ́ nà pa ọ̀dọ̀ mi ló sá wá èmi ló kàn mo filẹ̀ fún ó yọ àkétì inú rìbádù ọ̀rọ̀ akẹ́kọ̀ọ́ ọ̀rọ̀ ọgbọ́n orí ni kíní nóòrù nìṣó mo gbé nóòrù ìbádùn síta eléyìí tó jókòó lẹ́yìn mi dàpọ̀ ṣó wàá lè sọ pé òun lè di dádì gọ́fúnà tí ó bá ṣe mí.
wọ́n mi ló kọ́ ẹbí ló kọ́ bàbá wo ló rẹ̀ ìdẹ́sẹ̀ tẹ́bí ló kọ́ lẹ́gbẹ̀ẹ́sẹ̀ bàbá wo ló rẹ̀ ìdẹ́sẹ̀ tẹ́bí ló kọ́.
Okay, very interesting year indeed. Although the Emilokon, vocabulary was added to our political lexicon in 2022, it, became very popular in 2023 all through the election period. Prof, I was talking about our assessment of the year on the show as well. It's been a very eventful year. Although I joined the show in the last quarter. Yes, I think it was the last quarter. Prof. Hello, Prof.
Sorry, it's a very eventful year.
Yes, okay.
And we started with the build up to the elections. Everything revolved around the election with minor focus on other issues that were happening side by side with the election. But in general, I think the first part of the year was dominated by election. And we tried as much as we could to bring candidates or their representatives to the podium to speak to our listeners about their strategies, about their expectations, about their challenges, about the successes that they envisaged. We also covered the challenges around the elections, when the preparation by INEC, what the challenges they faced, and then, of course, when election then happened, we looked at the various dimensions of the voting process. The challenges in different parts of the country in terms of electoral violence, respect for the rule of law and the electoral process, as well as the implementation of the new electoral act that was signed into law by Buhari at the previous year. And then we also look at the last-minute amendments to the Constitution in terms of devolution, when we looked at the return of or the movement of the energy and electricity to the concurrent list. And we are hoping that the governors will take up the gauntlet and demonstrate their commitment to providing stable electricity to their states. Hopefully in the new year, that will be some of the basic issues that we'll have to address in terms of service provisioning, not just by the federal government, but also by the state government, given the pressure for devolution and the idea that more responsibilities should be given to the states. We also looked at what happens after the elections, the many litigations in the courts and how they are being resolved by the courts. Then once we settle down with that, we then focus also on what the governors are doing, what the president himself is doing, what's happening to cost of living, the many neoliberal policies that have been initiated, or the high point of which is the removal of fuel subsidy, and the consequences for cost of living for ordinary Nigerians. And I think these are major issues that have ruled the airwaves in this holiday season. Where people are beginning to look at the conditions of living of Nigerians and whether the Christmas celebration and the New Year's celebration were indeed what the previous experiences that were had before this year, especially with the devaluation of the Naira, the increase in inflation, and so on and so forth. In fact, we take a very critical look at not only just the youth movement during the election, as Barrister has mentioned earlier. We also looked at the consequences of many of the policies of the government for the quality of life. Discussions also deals with matters arising from many of the policies that have been done, especially with the CBN, the change in leadership in many government positions as a result of the new government. Many scandals were unraveled, and then we had to take them one by one. And locally, of course, we have our own peculiar challenges in Oyo State, some of which we try to address.
Yes, certainly. I mean, very eventful year indeed. I mean, we're hoping that it's going to be a better one next year in terms of bringing people that matter and driving the conversation and, digging it deep as well for people to know what is going on, holding people accountable, because that's what's important. In fact, on Facebook, Okudo Abatode says that we should also focus on state assembly members and the governors because they are closer to the people. Because for all we're saying about Rivers, for instance, Anke Briggs brought another angle to it because she's there, she knows the people that are close to them, and I think we would also focus on that as well in the new year. There's also Barrister is not with us. Okay, let me take this comment. Yes, let me take this comment on Facebook. This one says Nigeria is Nigeria is multi-ethnic. This must be taken into consideration. Governance situation where I think it has gone away. Let me take this one. Okay, your Fagbemi says it's not a small dispute. Tinubu has orchestrated a demonic resolution. River State people at large is not in support, but rejected it. Tinubu is never a Democrat. The woman should have said the obvious truth. Okay, Bayomi Babatunde says you have rightly written it. Do you think power can equally be shared? I don't think it will ever happen, even here in Africa. Thank you so much. Okay, this one says next year attention should be shifted. Yes, I've taken that one. I talked about it earlier in terms of making people accountable. Those in power, especially at the state level, are accountable to the people. Okay, Mabata says Nigeria is a multi-ethnic state. It must take into consideration the governance situation where a single ethnic group will continue to hold on to power will generate crisis. Other ethnic groups have equally have competent and cerebral people that can govern. Okay, thank you so much for being a part of the show. Thank you, Prof. Thank you, Barrister. I wish you a wonderful new year. And when we come in next Saturday, we'll be doing the very first show of the year 2024. Thank you so much, Prof, for joining us. Thank you, Barrister. Thank you to our guests and our callers. It's been a wonderful year with you and those who are sending their messages. We look forward to a better year in 2024. My name is OLORUNTOBA Yusuf. Bye for now.
Safa saphela isizwe simnyama